Good morning everybody. So the 350 is behind us on the lift. We're down at KWJ again and we're using their lift because today, unfortunately, I hate doing videos like this, but there's some people in the industry that just don't really respect their work that much. So as you'll see in the last video, we actually paid somebody to fit a hydro handbrake, and I paid someone to fit a hydro handbrake because it's braking things, it's to do with your brake system. So you obviously don't really want to mess that up. And also time. I didn't really have much time to do it myself. So if you've seen the last video, one of the last videos, you'll see we had the hydro, paid someone to fit the hydro. And you'll also see in the last two videos, I've been having struggles with my hydro on the track days. It's just not been locking the rear wheel, it's been inconsistent, it's been spongy. I've had to bleed the brakes multiple times. It's just not been good. So yesterday we actually got up on the ramp to have a look what was going on. And today I'm going to go through how bad this is. I do hate doing this. I hate putting people's livelihoods at risk. I really don't want to do this, but I need to redo this because although I hate putting people's livelihoods at risk, I don't like it. I don't really appreciate when people put my life at risk. Now I know that sounds quite dramatic, but I'll show you how this has been done and how it's dangerous. First of all, if you've seen the last couple of days, I've been going on drift days and I've not been having good use of hydro. It just doesn't work, doesn't lock up, inconsistent, works half the time, works doesn't. And first of all, the one thing I've noticed is that, first of all, it's actually leaking from inside the car. So I'm not going to put it down the lift, I'll just insert a picture there. So one of the inlets going to the hydro is actually leaking from there. So I've had to keep bleeding it and bleeding it and bleeding it and bleeding it. I've had to bleed the car 4 times overall since I've got it back, just to even get it working. In fact, I drove to Santa Pod and I had no brake pedal whatsoever. So it wasn't a good start to my first experience with this hydro. They've rounded off the nuts on the hydro themselves. And then we come and we investigate even more. And I'm going to show you how bad this is. So this is under the wheel arch, and this is where it's been plumbed in, which is nothing wrong with this. This is a correct way to plumb in, well, the correct position to plumb in the hydro. The lines aren't the best, but it's somewhat a correct way to plumb in the hydro. But what the issue is, they're wet. It's wet all around here. All the lines are wet. It's leaking here, leaking here, leaking here, leaking here, leaking here. Pretty much every single one is leaking brake fluid. These lines, can you see the lines? They're like a week old. They shouldn't look like that. The reason that's, I'm guessing, is just they've corroded with all the how much brake fluid is leaking out of it. So it's all leaking. So I'm not going to have any brake fluid. It's just going to get spongier and spongier and spongier. I'm going to have no pressure. Air's going to be getting in. Moisture's going to be getting in. It's just going to be. That's dangerous, right? I've got brake fluid leaking from almost every single T-piece. Okay, that's not good. So it's leaking from the hydro. It's leaking from here, and then we come under the car, and this is, you might not be able to see, but this is how they've ran the lines. Unfortunately, we're not on the main lift, but what's happening is rubbing against the body here, rubbing against the body here, rubbing against metal here. And if you can see here, they've drilled 2 holes through the floor and just put the lines through. So those copper lines are rubbing against that bare metal hole. 2 just bare metal holes, drilled through, no grommets, no sealant, no absolute nothing. So that, I don't know if you'll know much, guys, about metal rubbing on metal, but one of them are going to rub through. Those lines eventually will rub through and I will lose brake pressure. I will lose all my brakes, because if one of those copper lines rub through, you can see they're touching, the metal bit's touching, I will lose all brake pressure. They've just routed them down here, not even routed them through the standard brake lines, just literally against the body of the car. Just cable tied and pushed against the body of the car. It's dangerous. So we're gonna have to redo it again. So I live by the motto: if you want a job doing, probably do it yourself. So I've gone and bought some braided brake lines, and we're gonna do it ourselves. I spoke to the company and I've brought this up, and basically every response has been, that's just what it's meant to be like. 350s don't like hydros. Another response was, you didn't supply the grommets, so why should we fit grommets? Just absolute bullshit like that. Asking about, I'm going to have to do it again, I'll pay someone to do it again, can I get a refund? Didn't want to give me a refund. So they're proud of that work. They knew it was going on camera and they still let it leave like this. Again, I hate slating businesses, but I feel like I do have an obligation for people watching to save you from going through some shit. I understand people make mistakes. I've got a business of my own. I understand people make mistakes, but that is just far from a mistake. That's just terrible workmanship. So today we're gonna fit the hydro ourselves and do a better job. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove these lines and everything that they've done. We're going to remove the T-pieces, change the T-pieces. We're going to get these lines out and we're going to run our own lines. And we're going to take the lines, obviously. Well, first of all, we're just going to get these copper lines off. Okay, so we've got the T-pieces off there. These shitty lines we're going to pull out. So we're going to undo both in the hydro and then pull them through the bottom of the car, hopefully have enough room. Sadly, this lift obviously goes down all the frame rail, so we're gonna have to just chop off the cable ties there, and then we're gonna have to just pull them through, find a way. To be fair with, they're coming off anyway, so we can bend the shit out of them if we want. But let me show you where it's leaking inside the hydro as well. You can see there, see all the fluid coming out of that bit there. Nuts rounded. Fluid's coming out the middle of it. So we're going to undo these, get them out, and then we need to find a way to route the new braided lines. I have got them the length of these copper lines if we need to run it underneath the car like we have done, but I'm going to find a way. I'll see if there's a way to put it through the bulkhead in here. That would be great, and then run it up here instead of going underneath the car, but we shall see. Right, so I'll chop these ends off, and then we should just be able to pull these through the bottom of the car. Okay, pull these through. Okay, so the hard part now is trying to find a way to run it through. Got the plastics off, and I think I might have found a winner. Someone did message me before on the page saying, you know, if you get rid of your bonnet catch, you can just run it through there. So I've been looking, and I've been seeing there's a big wiring loom there which goes through, but the grommet's really hard to get off, so it's probably going to have to be a case of cutting through the grommet. But down here, if you come under here, the bonnet latch is here, bonnet pull. There's a grommet here, and then there's a hole, and that's a big hole, right? So I've just stuck my screwdriver through, kind of a bit of an angle, stuck it through, and I was coming here to see where it's coming through the bulkhead, and look, the screwdriver's right there. The screwdriver's there. We'd easily be able to run that through. I just need to just cut that grommet, make it a little bit bigger, as long as and I should be able to push them through this side. Should be able to. So I'm going to get one braided line and bring it through, and I'm pretty sure, hopefully this end fits. I don't know if the banjo side will fit, so if we push it through the car first, pray that this does fit, and then we just make that grommet a little bit bigger. Oh, I pushed it through. Ah, perfect. Perfect. So let's just see if we can get the other one through as well, and that's going to be our line, boys. Right, guys, I've actually managed to get it through that grommet. So all I'm going to do now is just push that grommet back, and hopefully it sits in there. I've had to chop it a little bit bigger. The bigger banjo is the inlet, and the smaller banjo is the outlet. So just make sure we're getting them in the right way around. So this is the bigger one. That's going to go at the back. So we're going to pull this through. So the shorter one is going to be inlet. So this is going to be the outlet. So that's going to be going to the brake lines. So it's going to go out from the hydro to the brake line. So that is going to go in these ones. And then this is the input lines. That's going to go from the ABS pump, which is these two here. So we've got two new T-pieces, so I'm going to get them now, and we're going to start plumbing them in. Okay, so I've got them plumbed there. I've just put the wheel on just to make sure I'm nowhere near on full lock, and I'm not. Don't forget there is going to be the wheel arch here, and that's just going to bolt it up a little bit more. So take the wheel off and fully show you what I've done, and then we can get inside, route it, and then put it in the hydro, and then bleed. Yeah, Kieran! So this is where it comes. We've got the T-piece there. It's coming from the ABS pump. That's going to be going into the back of the hydro, and then come back, and then we're coming down this line here, and then we're teeing into the rear brake. So they're all tight. I just need to put the grommet fully in a little bit more, but I'm just going to route it, bolt it up, and then we can start thinking about tidying it up a little bit. So this is pretty much how every single screw was left on the car. The screw bolt and the wheel arching was just wrong, was just like this. The screw on the other side was like this. It's just... We are absolutely smashing it. I've got the lines here. I did take all this off, and I did take this button out. I was going to run them through there, but they'd just be a little bit too tight through there, so I'm not doing it. So we're just literally, they're through here. They're all tucked up underneath here. They go down there, through here, away from anything metal. Run underneath here, and they just come out underneath the hydro here. You just see them, and then we're going to put them around, and boom. So we got the fittings here. I will shout out this company. They made these braided lines. They were awesome company. I was really struggling to find these braided lines from a lot of braid companies, and these guys were just sick. I went in and they made them in 10 minutes, gave me all the fittings, because this was difficult because these are imperial, so that's a 3/8 thread and a 7/16, or one or the other way around. And most brake companies only deal with like metric stuff now, so they were awesome. So huge thank you to Brakes International in Rochdale. So we've got the threads here, the correct banjos and the correct washers. We're going to put this down, fluid her up, and then do some massive bleeding. Look how much better that looks. That looks awesome now. It actually looks like it's been done properly. So everyone is sitting here saying, Lee Bodgewood, what do you fucking mean, mate? Okay, so we're going to bleed the brakes. I'm going to sit here, we're going to pump the brakes and pump the hydro. Hopefully we're getting fluid through. Okay, we took it out and it was, as soon as we got it off the lift, the brake pedal was super spongy, so we come in and we bled the shit out of it, haven't we, Kieran? Yeah. We put like 3 litres through it. 4 litres through it, yeah. We've checked all the lines. All the lines are, that's better. Yeah. All the lines are not leaking, which is good. It works well. It works really good. I didn't even need much effort there, and I was barely even doing any speed. It's good. Woo! Well done. We've done it. So much better. I know it's not underneath the car. I don't need to worry about going over a fucking speed bump. I know. That's how it should have been. Yeah, that's how it should have been. Woo! I'm happy. Thank you, Kieran.
You're welcome.
It took ages. We thought we'd be leaving at 2. It's like, what time is it? Like 5 o'clock or something? Fuck it, it's too late. I went out last night as well. I'm so hungover. But not only does it look 10 times better, it's 10 times safer. And it fucking works 10 times better. So, should have just done that in the first place. But, you know, need to make mistakes to learn from them. And I'm just so happy it's actually not running under the car. I was so worried about that. And they were everything is so worth it. It didn't actually even take that long. The thing that just takes longer is the bleeding. Like, to actually fit them, it didn't take long at all. It literally looks 10 times better. Kieran's OCD was kicking off because he wanted them both at the same angle. But I probably can, but I didn't really think about it, to be fair. I'm not as OCD as Kieran about stuff like that. So just the way the lines were and the way that the banjos have been crimped on, you probably wouldn't get them perfect anyway. So yeah, love you all. So happy with this. If you want a job doing properly, do it yourself or come to KWJ.
Do it once, do it right.
Do it once, do it right, yeah. Right. Bye bye, people.